Hello and welcome to Calibre Conversations, our online book festival where we chat to a range of authors in the hope of introducing you to books to add to your reading list and get you enjoying more books in National Year of Reading. My name is Emma and I'm delighted to be joined by SJ Poyton, author of the incredibly addictive book Mammoth Rider. She's been making up stories since she was a child, and her interests in animals, conservation and the environment have proven to be a huge inspiration in her writing. So we look forward to finding out more about this today. So first of all, a mammoth, hello and welcome to you, SJ.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, there is absolutely so much to talk about with this book, which, though it's your first published book, I have to say it's certainly not the first thing you've written. I think, is it fair to say that your road to publication has been a bit of a marathon and not a sprint?
Yes, definitely, like a very long mammoth migration. I started when my youngest was coming up to a year old. By the time I actually got a book published, and I'd written many and got very close, he was just coming up to his 20th birthday, so it was a bit of a journey.
So that's quite that's a good sort of inspiration for everybody out there who's aspiring to write at the moment. It can come at the end, can't it? So that's brilliant. So first of all, I just wondered, is it possible that for those of people that haven't yet got hold of Mammoth Rider and read it, could you give us a little bit of a teaser for those that haven't discovered it?
Yes, of course. So Mammoth Rider is about 3 children that have to race across the Arctic tundra to save a herd of mammoths that have been cloned to help with the battle against global warming from trophy hunters. So it's a lot of action. It's a lot of human and animal interactions and climate change themes running through it, as well as conservation themes. And it's all based on actual science, which is happening at the moment, which is very exciting. So there it is in a nutshell, I guess.
That's brilliant. No, you don't want to give too much away either as well, because there's so much encompassing in this story. And I learned a lot, I have to say. Why did you choose to bring mammoths back from extinction in the story?
Well, actually, I was researching for another book. I was about to write a book which was going to be a YA thriller about Neanderthal human chimeras. And for that, I was actually researching just plain de-extinction science, and I came across a book which is here called How to Clone a Mammoth by Professor Beth Shapiro. It's about general mammoth de-extinction science, but when I was reading it, I found out that there are scientists all over the world racing to clone mammoths. They think they're quite close to cloning mammoths. There's a reason to bring them back, which is theoretically they can help with the battle against global warming. And there's a place for them to go, which is called Pliocene Park in Siberia, where they're already bringing back existing animals that used to live on the tundra back into that Arctic setting to help with the battle against global warming. And although I don't agree with bringing extinct animals back, I just thought, who doesn't love a mammoth? And what a great story that would make, and what a great introduction to out-of-the-box climate change and conservation thinking.
So what, or possibly even who, inspired your interest in conservation and the environment?
Well, I think with anybody of my generation, and most generations, it would definitely have to be Sir David Attenborough, because he was the person that was on the television teaching us to care for the wider planet and all of its inhabitants. And being dyslexic, I found it difficult to read, so TV was one of the main things where I got that kind of knowledge and that learning. The other thing, which is again very unique to, I think, my generation, is The Really Wild Show, which was on the BBC.
Remember that?
Yep, with the original lineup, which was Terry Nutkins, Michaela Stratton, and a very young, and at the time, very cool Chris Peckham. So that was also like watching that you just couldn't miss.
That was compulsive viewing.
Yeah, it definitely was. Yeah.
Now, so really excitingly, so you have also been involved in many paleontology digs. In fact, you've actually just recently come back from one, I think, have you?
Yes, it ended on Sunday.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, so the one that I've just been on was called Fossil Fishing, and that was at Court Farm, which is in King Stanley, up in the Cotswolds. That was run by the amazing Rock Boffins, which is Sally and Dr. Nev Hollingworth, who found the site that was featured in the BBC documentary Attenborough and the Mammoth Graveyard, and also Nigel Larkin, who's one of the country's leading bone putter togetherers. He, like I say that he's literally just done a display at the Natural History Museum in Oxford, redoing a dinosaur, and he was responsible for doing the 2 whale bones up in Whitby. So he's like our go-to person in the country if you want, very difficult skeleton jigsaws put together. And so with this particular dig, it was a much smaller dig than the digs we've been on previously. It was probably 30, 40 volunteers. And we were looking mostly for, the title suggests, fossilised fish. Because a few years ago they found this amazing fish head at the farm, which is like one of those really scary ones with the teeth. I'm sorry to all of the paleontologists out there, I don't actually know the species name. And we found some amazing things, but it's actually embargoed. I can't really tell you what we found.
Yeah.
But they will all be going to Museum in the Park, which is the local museum up in that area. But the previous digs that we've been on have been all at the aforementioned site, which was featured in the documentary, the Mammoth Graveyard. And I've been there for 3 years, and that was again organised by Sally and Dr. Nev Hollingworth, all volunteers, over 230 people on site across 3 weeks, world specialists to undergraduates, graduates, the random children's author, various people, all volunteering their time, their resources and their expertise, and mostly camping on site. It was an amazing experience. I didn't camp, I Airbnb'd, but it was amazing to be there, like pulling out mammoth from the mud, being the first people to see these things in millennia. We also found hand axes from Neanderthals and early modern humans, but it was also fascinating because it was like time traveling through the gravel, because you'd have your Ice Age material one side, you walk through the gravel 25 metres because it was in an old quarry, and then you'd be in Jurassic and finding Jurassic marine reptiles, Jurassic crocodiles. So it was just a phenomenal experience. I'm so privileged to have been invited.
And just for those that don't know, so paleontology, what is that?
Paleontology is the study of prehistory. So I would say anything before humans started to make a record of it. So mostly you would associate that with looking at long extinct species from very, very long ago. So dinosaurs, pre-dinosaurs, Ice Age. But, when you get to the end of kind of paleontology, you do have various different forms of sapiens.
What's the most exciting thing that you might have ever come across on a dig, or you've been on a dig where it's been discovered?
We had a stunning hand axe in the 2024 task force, we call it, digs at the Mammoth site, and it was like you wouldn't think it, but there are different types of hand axes. You have your kind of basic ones, and then you have the stunning ones, which is like a Swiss army knife of the Stone Age technology. And we had one of these, and it was yellow, and it was beautiful, and it was stunning, and the creme de la creme of Stone Age technology. We also had another one, which was beautiful, because the people that had napped this had found it, and it had an animite in it, and they'd napped round the animite so that it was like decorated. It was stunning.
Lots of your readers as well, when they've read Mammoth Rider, might feel inspired to try and help with conservation efforts and climate change, or find out more about the topics. Do you have any tips of how they might learn more to contribute towards helping, even if it's just a little small way, and something they might be able to do in their home or in their community?
Well, I think the first way to help with conservation is to think about your own personal responsibility. So there are lots of small things that we can do that can build up to the bigger things. But if you think about using less single-use plastics, maybe purchase things secondhand rather than new, and go to your local park, maybe pick up the rubbish. You can then build up. If you look online or get your adults to look online with you, there will be local conservation projects that you can help with. I know there are somewhere, if there are local kind of rivers, canals, you can go and help tidy those up. And when I was a teenager, with the, I think it was with the Girl Guides, we used to go up to Long Whitnam, because there was a charity up there that is all about conservation, and we would go up and help with forestry things and conservation projects. So there will definitely be things that you can do in your local community. You've just got to do a little bit of digging.
In the book, the main character is called Ash, and she has dyslexia, dyscalculia and mild dyspraxia, which she describes letters and numbers as trying to trick her, moving and morphing, giving her a throbbing headache and making her cranky. Why was it important to you to include a neurodiverse character in your story?
Well, I'm neurodiverse. I have dyslexia, dyscalculia and mild dyspraxia. And one thing that I never saw growing up was myself reflected back in books. And even these days, if you see a character that's neurodiverse in books, it's usually about the neurodiversity. And I think neurodiverse people deserve more than that, because we shouldn't be purely defined or limited by neurodiverseness. It's just part of a multifaceted person, what makes us personality. So I wanted to have a neurodiverse protagonist that it doesn't stop her, it isn't about it, but it also celebrates the fact that there are skills that comes with neurodiversity that can actually help you. And the way that Ash uses that in the book is she's very good at observing the mammoth behaviour and seeing patterns in behaviour, and that actually helps with the adventures and saving the mammoths and saving the day.
One of the great things as well about your book is obviously because of that, it was obviously very important to you to design the book to be more accessible, and it's been published with dyslexia-friendly font. There's extra spacing between sentences, and what I found really interesting was the use of bold instead of italics, which I hadn't realised as somebody with dyslexia might struggle with that as well. That was really interesting. But to make it even more accessible, Mammoth Rider is also available in audio, which is obviously really important to our members. So is audio a format that you use to access and enjoy reading as well?
You know what? It's a bit of a weird one for me. When I was a kid, definitely. Not in traditional audio, though. So there was, I think one year I was gifted a subscription to the Storyteller magazine. This is in the 80s. And you would get a monthly magazine that was all colour, and it would have short stories, non-fiction articles in it, plus classic stories that were, done like a chapter at a time, beautifully illustrated, but it came with a cassette tape, so you could actually listen to the audio recordings. So I would listen to the audio recordings whilst following the words, and that was absolutely a game changer for me for accessing stories. And the other one that was big for me was actually Jack and Ori, which was on the television. I can see you
love Jack and Ori.
Yeah. And
Bernard Cribbins was my favourite doing that.
Well, my favourite was John Grant, who wrote and presented Little Nose books. He's a bit of a hero of mine because he also wrote some He-Man books, but hey. I can remember absolutely loving the stories. And at the time, I was very small, and we did have a library, which closed for most of my childhood, but at the time there was a library. So I would get the books out from the library, and I would follow along while he was reading them. And so it was like a form of audiobooks. But actually, I didn't discover audiobooks until my children were quite old. I didn't even know they were a thing. So we would, as a family, when we went away on holiday in the UK, whilst we were travelling, we would listen to audiobooks. But I'm actually very new to audiobooks. I didn't even know they were a thing, to be honest.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. I think they're amazing, and so many people I know only access books by audio, and it's such a great thing. And I don't know how I've gone quite so old before realising they were even out there.
That doesn't matter. It's finding them that's the important thing. And also it's for us, obviously, in terms of our members and what we do, the accessibility of audiobooks is fantastic. That's what we like about them. But also the ability for audio to put and sometimes spin a new perspective on a story, so it really brings a story to life as well. I don't know whether did you have any process input into the process of the audio at all?
I did actually.
Oh, you did?
So only a little bit, but in December I had the email come through from the publishers with links to the shortlist for the actors who they thought would make a good or would do a good job of the audio book. And so I sat there with a glass of wine with my husband. We listened to them all, and there was one where instantly we went, that is the voice of Ash. And so I replied with, this is definitely my favourite, and then prioritise the others. I was so pleased when the publishers came back and went, that was our top choice too. So the wonderful Venice Van Summeren has done the audiobook, and she's done such a great job. And also I was really, really pleased that she actually attended the book launch. So I've actually met her too, which was absolutely wonderful. But yes, she does such a good job.
Yeah, that's a big shout out to all the narrators that bring those books to life for everybody as well, because she's fantastic. I now can't imagine Ash as anybody else. That's absolutely the voice that I had in my head as, kind of you're reading it. So, brilliant. Just also as part of that, so you're also an illustrator
yes.
as well as a writer. And I just wondered whether, thinking about all forms of reading, whether comics or graphic novels feature in your reading habits at all?
Oh, yes, I love a graphic novel. I particularly love manga.
Brilliant.
My favourite manga of all time is called Fruits Baskets, and that is, I think it's 23 books, and it's about a family of people that have been cursed, and in the family there is a member for each member of the Chinese zodiac that when their bodies are under stress, so they're poorly or hurt, or if they're cugged by somebody of the other sex, they will morph into the actual animal of the Chinese zodiac, whether that be a tiger or a dragon or a dog or a horse. And it's about one girl who actually makes it her mission to break the curse. And it is one of the most stunning reads you'll ever have. I can remember being in public weeping these stories because they're so beautiful and funny and poignant, but also so stunningly illustrated.
So I just wondered what books or authors have had an impact on you and sparked your interest in stories and writing, actually?
Well, I've got a little pile here. So one was Little Nose by John Grant that we've already mentioned, which is about a Neanderthal boy who he's called Little Nose because the rest of the Neanderthals have big noses, but he's got a little nose. And he actually has a pet mammoth called Two Eyes. And I was so obsessed with these books that I actually dug holes in my parents' garden looking for a frozen mammoth to defrost to be a pet. Absolutely adored them.
Is that where your love of mammoths came from, really?
Yeah, yeah. The second one is, would you like to say it?
This is Mrs. Frisby and the Rats of Nim by Robert C. O'Brien, which is literally the reason why I became a librarian.
It's such a great book.
It's
and
on
such
my
a great
bookshelf
film.
at home.
I came to this via the film. It's a 1981 film by United Artists. It was the very first animation they ever did. It was the start of the kind of dark fantasy animations of the 1980s. But a lot of my books that I come from, I've come via adaptations, screen adaptations, because if I enjoy it on the big screen, I know that I'm going to enjoy the book that it's based on, and it's worth actually doing that reading and getting the headaches and the sore eyes and stuff. But Mrs. Frisby and the Rats of Nim, for people that don't know about it, is about some rats, and they've escaped from NIM, which is the National Institute of Mental Health in America, and they have been experimented on, and their genetics or their DNA has been changed, so their lifespans and their intellect is more similar to humankind, and they live in a farm under a rose bush, and they are stealing electricity from the farmer. But actually all they want to do is to move to a valley and to become self-sufficient and live in a more friendly way to the environment and not have to be scared that NIM are going to come and capture them and take them back and experiment them on them anymore. And Mrs. Frisbee is a mouse that comes to them for help. It is a stunning book. It was the first time I ever heard about genetic engineering, so it actually also was a direct influence on Mammoth Rider as well. But
I am beyond excited that you brought that with you.
Good.
Now, you mentioned in an interview that you were told you wouldn't be able to write as a career or do anything that was science or history based. I just wondered what you might say to other neurodiverse people that have had similar experiences, because you've obviously smashed that out of the park, really, haven't you? So
it's taken me a long time because I'm almost 50. But what I would say is don't let anybody limit or define you, because that's only their opinions, and what you're capable of is so much more than what somebody else pigeonholes you as being. Now, the thing with neurodiversity, as we mentioned earlier, we have so many skills that neurotypical people don't have. In fact, if you go into LinkedIn now, I do believe that dyslexia is actually listed in one of the skills. And also there are scientific institutions that purposely publish jobs where they want dyslexic people to take those positions, because we can see in data patterns that neurotypical people can't, and also the AI can't, because AI is trained on neurotypical brains. But my main thing would be to have a belief in yourself, be in the knowledge that it might take you a little longer and it might be harder, because the world is not set up for neurodiverse people. But if you ask for support, and it's very difficult to ask for support, but it is very important, ask for support, find your own coping mechanisms, and don't give up. Be stubborn in your belief in yourself and not giving up, because nobody should have the power to tell you what you can and can't do. I think I could do everything, with the possibility of not being a spy, because with dyslexia and dyscalculia, if I had the launch codes to nuclear bombs, I'd probably get them wrong. But other than that, I'm pretty sure I could do anything if I wanted to.
That's quite reassuring that you can't possibly launch a nuclear bomb, though, I think.
Yeah, especially when I'm stressed. You don't want me in charge of that.
That's fabulous thing. That's a great inspiration for people. Now, if you can excuse the pun in the next question, can we just ask what other Mammoth projects you might have already on the horizon?
The next Mammoth book project is Mammoth Rider Book 2.
I was hoping there'd be another one.
Yeah, there is. Title to be confirmed. I can reassure everybody that's read it that Ash, Ruby, Jack, Goliath, Nyala, all of the lead characters are back. Don't tell anybody else, but there may be added woolly rhinos and smilodons. So look out for that. That is coming out next year.
Fabulous. Now, I can't let you go, SJ, without just trying to find out a little bit more about you. So I've got some little quick fire questions, if that's all right, just to go there, just a little bit of fun at the end. So first question, would you rather ride a mammoth or a dinosaur?
This I gave a lot of thought to. Now, I grew up in a house where we had lots of birds. We hand-reared parrots. My dad has also at one point looked after rheas, which is like a South American version of an ostrich or an emu. I can definitely say, without shadow of a doubt, knowing what birds are like, I would much rather ride a mammoth, because mammoths are very similar to Asian elephants, and we do know that people have been riding those for centuries, whereas birds are a bit skittish and a bit bird brain, sorry, but they are. However, I will caveat with, actually, you really shouldn't ride mammoths or elephants anyway, because it's bad for their backs. It's very good for storytelling, but it's not actually good in reality.
Oh, very good. Okay, that's definitely something to remember. So other than mammoths, is there any other animal that you bring back from extinction?
Yes, so one would be the dodo, because I quite like pigeons, and they were a form of pigeon, but mostly because in the efforts to bring back the dodo, they're upping their conservation efforts to save the critically endangered pink pigeon from Mauritius. So it would, because of bringing one thing back, they will actually help save another species. But I think, as a side note, northern white rhinoceros, it isn't extinct yet. There are 2 left. They're both 2 elderly girls. But the last boy northern white rhino, called Sudan, died in 2018, which means they're functionally extinct. They can't produce any more babies. So the same de-extinction science could help save that species, which isn't actually extinct but is functionally extinct. So I think we should concentrate on conservation.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next thing is, can you tell us one fun fact about mammoths?
Oh, only one? Yes, of course. So did you know that mammoths had underpants?
No.
That is everybody's answer. So mammoths had their own evolutionary kind of underpants. So they had a flap of skin over their bottom, which would open when they needed to relieve themselves and then close once they'd done their business. This was to protect their delicate areas from frostbite. So basically, mammoth pants. And I think that's just hilarious.
Oh, I'm going to just go home and tell that to everybody now. That's my fact for the week and the year, I think. And lastly, so would you rather have lived in the Ice Age or the Jurassic period?
So my son was going through these questions with me, giving me a practice run, and this was one of the ones that I've had to really think about. But I do think the Ice Age period, because how fascinating would it have been to have been in a planet where there are loads of different forms of humans, loads of different sapiens. I kind of think it would be a bit like living in Middle Earth, where, you know, you've got dwarfs and you've got like elves and various different. That's what it was like in the Ice Age, because you had like Devonians, early modern humans, Neanderthals. So I think that would be great. Also, we do know that they had technology. We could do fire. They had storytelling. They had tools. And quite frankly, I think even though there were some very scary animals in the Ice Age, not quite as scary as dinosaurs. So I would definitely go with Ice Age all the way.
That's a good point, actually, because there were sort of obviously big, scary, but yeah, possibly not quite as scary as the Jurassic, I would say. Oh, SJ, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really hoping that we've encouraged a whole herd of people to seek out your book to read. It's a book you get totally consumed by and can let your imagination run wild with really vivid characters and descriptions. That means you're literally running alongside Ash, Jack and Ruby as they battle to save the day. When you get to the end, I really just want to mention the excellent additional information at the back of the book, which includes more information about neurodiversity and some really excellent mammoth facts too. If you're a member of Calibre Audio, you can borrow Mammoth Rider from our collection. And if you want to find out more about SJ, then visit her website at sjpoyton.com. But Mammoth Rider also has a dedicated website, I believe, as well, which lots of interactive quizzes, fun craft activities. Is that right?
Yep.
And more. So please do visit mammothrider.com. So that only leaves me to say another mammoth thank you to SJ for joining us today. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been great just to chat general books and mammoths.